Retrieval-augmented.
I want to talk about the evolution of LLM products that we have seen in the past 2 years or so. All of this craziness started by the very first version of ChatGPT. That was truly a large language model with a UI, or as close as we might get to that. But those of you who used ChatGPT in early 2023 probably remember that it was cute, but it was completely useless. You could talk to it, it can tell you stories, etc., etc. But as soon as you start doing anything factual, as soon as you start trying to get it to do anything useful, it's going to be like, oh, my data is up to 20 whatever, and I can't answer that question. Or it would just hallucinate a bunch of nonsense. So the LLM plus a UI will be very cute, but completely useless in most cases. Very quickly, what we learned was that, okay, what if we separated the data sources and put them in a database and use the LLM as an interface between the natural language and the structure of the data? This could be a bunch of documents that I put into a database, I chunk them, embed them, put them in the database, and use the LLM to interact with the data, talk to your documents, kind of use cases were born here. A lot of people got excited about them because it was great. I can't have a bunch of documents that didn't exist in the training data of the LLM, but I could introduce them to the LLM system like this, and it was great. But very quickly, we learned that, okay, even that is not great, because in some cases, we need a little more processing on top of the data, because either it gets confused about the information, it doesn't attend to the right information, et cetera, et cetera. A bunch of variations of RAG came along. The long story short was that essentially to have a properly engineered RAG system, you need a few more components in addition to just your data. Like you need to put in some security layers, you need to put some refinement and relevance measurement layers, guardrails. You probably need some working memory so that you can keep track of things if the conversation becomes long. By conversation, I don't necessarily mean a chat. It could be an execution log trail. And these were the very first time that we started seeing RAG in production, and RAG agents started appearing, because a lot of the cases we also realized that, oh, we need some sort of a routing to decide what kind of question or what kind of request we're dealing with, and then pass it to the right type of RAG to deal with it. But this was the first time we started seeing more production-ready type of LLM systems appearing in organizations and startups, etc. And of course, in that train of thought, as soon as you start thinking about it, you're going to realize that, oh, wait a minute, LLMs are good at also task decomposition and planning. Maybe they can also do that task. Oh, wait, they are good at calling the tools and function calling, so maybe you can use them to interact with other tools. If the LLM itself is not good at mathematics, maybe it can call a mathematics tool. Maybe if it is not good at doing SQL queries itself, maybe it can write the SQL query and send it to a SQL database, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden, agents were born, because if you have a system that can use tools and can interact and can plan and has a memory, you're starting to see that the system can probably behave and operate on its own to some extent. And of course, the train of thought from there went towards multi-agent systems, where you would have a few of these agents that I described in the previous slide collaborating with each other and helping each other out. The very first versions of these were essentially a bunch of LLMs that were talking to each other. But of course, as time went on, these systems became more and more complicated, because we needed robustness in terms of how we had to put them together to be production ready. And of course, the fact that a lot of these systems also needed humans to be in the loop rather than being completely autonomous became very obvious for us. It was always obvious, we just decided to ignore them for a while. But essentially, the more realistic systems that started going into production were systems that were multi-agent, but also multiplayer, in the sense that humans were part of the execution of the system.